Hey everyone, my name is Bree Workman. In partnership with masterthegamelv, we have brought you Make It, Take It, a show that highlights women and girls who love the game of basketball and have turned their dreams into reality. We get into all things women's basketball and most importantly, how to master your mindset, how to master life, and master the game. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and pass this along to a girl who is chasing her greatness. Here is Make It, Take It. Hey guys, I'm here with Ayla Williams. So excited to have you here. This is our first episode of Master the Game LV, and I specifically chose Ayla as our first guest because Ayla is like the epitome of what it means to master the game. She's so resilient. She has a great personality. She's a leader in her community and within her teams, and so I felt like she would be the best person to get us going. So one thing I admire about you, Ayla, so of course I coached you for 3 years.
Yes.
Yes, and we've built a really good relationship over
Definitely.
this time, and I've been really proud to see your growth. And one thing that I admire about you is that you're not afraid to stand alone. I think that you're very confident, and that, you know, it's not always fun or the most popular thing to stand alone, but I feel like at least it looks like you're comfortable with knowing what's right for you and being okay with, you know, this is the right decision. And even if other people aren't on this same path, I'm okay with like being on this path alone and knowing that I'm choosing the right option. So where did that confidence come from for you?
I think it just came from my individuality. I think anyone who knows me knows that I'm a little different. That's why they call me Auntie Ayla.
Different is good, by the way. Don't be like
you.
anybody. Different is good. Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I just think it came from, you know, knowing who I am as a person and just owning that at the end of the day, because living to my truth and, you know, doing that, doing what aligns with that.
Yeah. And then what about your leadership qualities? Because I feel like you're already a leader innately. Like, I think that's in you. But as I've seen you progress over the years, I think that you've been more confident with saying whatever is on your mind, but also you know how to talk to your teammates. Like, you know how to say it to them to where they don't take it in a negative way, or like you said, it's Auntie Ayla. Like, Auntie Ayla cares about us. She wants the best for us. And they don't really take it in a bad way. So can you kind of talk about leadership and what that looks like for you?
Yeah, I think it just comes with building connections. You know, I knew this year, you know, our main goal was, our main prerogative, you know, was to win state. And, you know, we had to get everyone on the same page. And it just comes like, I had a great group of girls to work with. You know, they made it so easy. They bought in, and it was just a really great experience. I think that leadership, you know, it comes from my mom, it comes from my sister. It's just the way we act, and, you know, we were all working towards a common goal. So I think being around people like that made it easy.
Yeah. And then also like holding your teammates accountable. That's really tough, especially because, you know, you're friends too.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
what does that look like in between the lines? Like, how do you, if, you know, young girls are struggling with, you're my friend and I want to be your friend, but also when we get in between the lines, we're competitive and we're trying to win. So if I yell at you in the moment or like, say something that you may not like, but it's the truth, how do you, you know, ride that line to where it's not taken personal?
Yeah, I think a lot of it came when I came to Vegas, and it kind of blended with Coach White's coaching style, because she holds you accountable. Like, she will tell you to your face what you need to be doing. And I feel like that was something I was missing in Utah. That's not like the culture there. And so I appreciate, you know, that bluntness, because that's how, you know, you improve. And I think with my teammates, you know, when I lead, I just try to talk. I just try to always be talking to them. It helps me, you know, play the game. It helps everyone. It makes everything easier. And so, you know, I think it comes back to that connection. You know, my teammates are my family. We know everything about each other. We're always with each other at school, basketball events. We were joking on our days off. We'd still be with each other. Like, we'd find something to do with each other, like on our days off. And so I think it comes back to, you know, just the great connections. And they know, like, they're my sisters, but hey, like, I'm going to hold you accountable, because that's at the end of the day, that's how we're going to get better. That's how we're going to work towards our end goal.
Yeah. And I think when you have teammates that you have such good relationships, they know you love them.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes when people I don't want to say yell at you, but hold you accountable. Same thing with your parents or, you know, close friends or your coaches. When people tell you the truth, that means that they love you and they care about you because they don't want you to do the same things over and over. They want you to improve. So that's one thing that I would take away just growing up, and to young girls out there, is that if someone's telling you the truth and they're being honest about what's happening in your life, they love you. And that's why you don't want to be around people that don't tell you the truth and just kind of like let you make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not always easy to hear, you know, like the truth is not always easy to hear, but at the end of the day, I think it's, you know, maturity to realize that that's what's going to get you better. And these people really do care about you, and they're not filling your head with lies. You know, they're going to tell you the truth. So,
And I want to go back to that confidence piece, like on the court too, because this season you made some really big plays against some of the top, you know, schools in our city. Gorman, Democracy Prep, Coronado, you went 10 for 12 from the free throw line. And then, of course, in-state, too. Big rebounds, big plays, big layups at the end of the game. Talk about where that confidence comes from. And then, like, in those moments, a lot of people would tank under the pressure, a lot of noise. You know, you got pressures from your coaches or from your teammates, and then your own pressure of you wanting to be able to step up. So what does that process look like for you on the court?
Definitely. I think that confidence, you know, for me, I get confidence from doing things. So, you know, the more I play basketball, the more I'm in situations and scenarios that are uncomfortable. You know, that's why I think playing under Coach White's, you know, such an amazing experience, because we are uncomfortable in practice, and that makes, you know, that games like that prepares us for moments like that. So, you know, I say that I get a big amount of my confidence from, you know, if I hard practices, they made those games easier. And, you know, that's why we came out on top. I also think individually my confidence comes from, you know, my injuries, which is kind of, you know, unique, because the way I see it and the way like I saw it like when I was playing Nike Nationals and kind of put a chip on my shoulder is that I had been through like things that other girls hadn't, and I had persevered through things that other girls hadn't. And so just knowing that, I kind of just, you know, puts a little energy and that chip on my shoulder. It gets me going. So I feel like that helps me persevere through those moments.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this really started from summertime for you. Like, from what I remember, in the summer prior to this season, you made a big shot club ball at Nike. So can you talk about that? Because honestly, you know, things don't happen overnight. And I just remember seeing that clip and you were like going crazy. And I'm like, oh, Ayla's going to be big this year, because it doesn't just start, you know, in the middle of season or at the end when you made those big shots. It started last summer. And when you seen that, or when you made those shots, you know, I kind of seen the future of what, you know, was coming. So when all this happened during season, I'm like, oh yeah, that started, you know, she started her work last summer, and now, you know, it's coming to fruition for you. So definitely happy for you.
Thank you.
And then I also want to know, like, what are you telling yourself in those moments too? Like, what's the self-talk like? What are you telling yourself to keep yourself motivated and to just block out all the noise?
One of my biggest problems when I was younger is I would dwell, you know, on my mistakes. And I feel like, you know, as girls, like, that's a confidence thing when we're playing sports, any sports, not just basketball, you know, and focusing on our mistakes. But when you're in situations like that, it's play to play. It's moment to moment. Like, it's quick. And you just got to, like, you're not dwelling on the fact that, oh, I just missed that shot. You're like, okay, I'm going to make the next one. And switching that mentality is something, you know, that comes with the Bulldog program, something I've learned. But yeah, just focusing on the next play. And then you can go back and review after that and, you know, decide what you need to do better. But it's just moment to moment when you're playing a game. And I feel like that's kind of freeing. Yeah,
being able to bounce back. Like, that's so hard, because sometimes it is a big play. You know, you should have made that layup or whatever the case is, but basketball's a game and run. So until you're in the fourth quarter and that buzzer goes off, you know, just as easily as you turn the ball over, you could go the other way and get a steal, or, you know, the other team could miss a shot. Whatever the case is, you don't know how things are going to go. So it's important to give that full effort, because, I mean, at the end of the day, usually the person that wins or the team that wins is the one that made the less mistakes.
Yes.
In basketball, mistakes happen. That's a part of the game. That's like the fun part. So you're trying to outwork each other. You're trying to get into each other's heads.
Yeah,
and, like,
definitely.
you know? So being able to bounce back quick and keep your team together and on the same page is typically the teams who come out on top consistently.
Definitely.
So you talked a little bit about injuries. So can you kind of give us a background of what you've been through your career and the emotions for you, and then how you battled through those over time?
Yeah. So I've had 2 ACL injuries, And for ACLs, it's a 9-month recovery. And so I had them like a span of like about a year.
Okay.
And I think, recovering, it's physical, there's physical aspects, but most of it was mental for me about getting back on the court, being able to decide when it's okay, like to push my body or like when it's time to push my body, trusting, my body. My trainers will tell you that, like, Ayla, you can do that lunge, like, Ayla, you can jump, like it's time. So yeah, I think my injuries, they don't define my experience, but at the same time, I'm grateful for how I kind of carried myself through it. And, it was definitely a big part of it. Like anytime you get injured, the big part I remember was being supported. And I think, young girls who get injured, if they have a great support system around them, it just makes it so much easier. I had my coaches, calling me, my family. I had you, because it's the most common injury for female athletes, not just in basketball. So yeah, I think those individual experiences were different. The first time it was kind of like, this is new, like, what am I doing? Like, but in the second time, I just knew, like, I've already been through this before.
Yeah, and I can relate in that because I tore my ACL twice in high school too, my freshman year and then my junior year. I was grateful to have a really good junior summer. And then after that, I tore it like at the end of the summer. But I didn't take any time off. And it was really hard for me. But the same thing, like the first time it happened, it was kind of like a shock. Yeah. Unexpected. And I didn't know what to expect going into that process of rehabbing and what you need to do mentally to get back out there. So, my first recovery wasn't really that great. And then the second time I tore it, it was devastating because it's like, again. Yeah. Like that feeling is just like, I already know I have this long road, this long journey, but you're a little bit more prepared this time. You're like, I know what to expect. I know what I need to do. I know what marks I need to hit by what time. And then again, like you said, having that, support system there for you. So coming out of that and then getting back to the court and you're saying trusting yourself. So what habits did you change about yourself along the way where you're like, okay, I need to implement this into my daily routine to make me comfortable enough to where I can trust myself out there and just go all out and not worry about what may happen? Yeah,
I think there's, like I was saying, it's mental and physical aspects. So on the mental side, I started like meditating, I started, giving myself more positive self-talk because when you come from an injury, it's a setback, but you can use it and you can use it to bounce back. So I think mentally, I just also had to give myself grace because I knew that it wasn't like changes wasn't going to happen overnight, It was a 9-month process, even longer, getting back. And it took a while. Like it was a new normal. I wasn't going to be back the same I was, but that's also a good thing because I accomplished a lot of things by being different. And physically, I have a great trainer, Charles Sam at PPP, and he just really helped me get through a lot of my injuries and into trusting myself. He's a big reason where I am at today. And so just going to training and taking that seriously, taking stretching seriously, taking care of my body, that's your, biggest thing you got. So I think those things.
And then what was it like being on the sideline, watching your teammates play? Obviously you're supporting them, but it's also tough to watch them play and not be able to help or like get in there and compete. Yeah. So how was that kind of being a coach on the sidelines now?
I think I got to experience that last year, definitely. I was sitting out the entire season, and I think that's where that leadership aspect comes in. I was able to kind of just talk to them and like kind of be a coach, but like be in the in-between.
You see what we see. Look.
Yes. I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're talking about. Like, what was that? But I got to be like their coach, but also like I'm your teammate, I'm with you. So that was an interesting, experience. But also I think, sitting out is something that like I don't think is talked about enough. And, that experience of just like, last year we lost state by 4 points. And I remember just sitting on the bench and we were up for most of the game. Yeah. I remember just sitting on the bench and being like, really like knowing like, oh, we weren't going to win this. And just knowing that I couldn't do anything, it's just that all I could do was cheer them on. It was kind of like, it kind of got me down. But I knew, that I think that just really, put a fire under my butt for this year, because I knew what it was like to lose and not being able to do anything about it. So I think, that's that aspect sitting out was hard, but, it helped me come back.
Yeah, and I think what you brought up about like not being able to do anything about it, and now you have the chance to like step in and step up is really important, because a lot of us don't know how to take ownership of our process. Just because you feel like a lot of things are out of your control, like it's natural. Like even as adults, they struggle with accountability and knowing that you actually do have power. Things may happen to you, but it's about how you bounce back. I mean, it's cliche, but a lot of people say, well, what are you gonna do after whatever happened to you, So I think taking ownership and just knowing that, well, I would rather make decisions for myself and do what I feel is right as far as my instincts are, and take whatever, consequences come from that, whether they're positive or negative, because at least I made the decision for myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Versus like it being based upon someone else, what they told you to do or whatever the case is. Because oftentimes if you put full effort in, you're going to get something positive.
Yeah, definitely.
Those that work hard, they don't just come out and nothing comes out of it. Like, usually they get everything that they're looking for or more.
Yeah.
So also kind of going back to your time being away from basketball, I'm sure it gave you more time to get into other things than basketball.
Yes.
And I know you have some passions, fashion, writing, photography, and you rap a little bit.
Yes. I'm not doing that now.
Are you sure? Okay. We can give you like 10 seconds to give us something.
I'll think about it.
Okay. Well, can you talk about like your passions outside of basketball, kind of what led you to some of those things, and what are you doing now, obviously, to impact what you're going to do after basketball?
Yeah, so I was actually named after a book called Clan of the Cave Bear, because my mom loves reading. Yeah. So I'm Ayla in that. And I think my mom really like instilled a love of reading for me. And that is, reading kind of transfers to writing. So like reading's input, and writing, like when you grow older, you start having a voice. And so I remember I actually started writing when I was like 10, and I just couldn't stop. I love writing so much. I write anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, even like my sister, when she's like, hey, look, can you write this for me? Can you write this Instagram caption? So her Instagram caption's at Nation Williams. I'm just joking. But yeah, so I love to write, and it's an interesting voice. It's a different kind of situation for me, because I'm, so used to like, talking, and I feel like writing, you're putting it on paper and you're actually creating something. So writing and rapping and I did spoken poetry too, so I did some poetry. Yeah. But rapping to me is also like, okay, if we were like getting ready for a game, like the team can attest to this, our game, one of our bigger games, like I made a rap about the team. Not gonna share this on here. Yeah. But yeah, and we were all singing it in the locker room. We were getting hyped, and it's just fun. So I think that's a way, through creation and expression, you can create community and create something that everyone, can enjoy and dance to. So that's what I really love about writing and rapping in general.
Yeah. Have you built any connections just over time in any of these industries? And I know you like fashion as well. Like, have you built any connections up until this point, or do you have anything going on like that you kind of, I know you talked about writing, but showing the world, your gifts? Yeah.
I actually got published by Allen Review. So they're a review for adolescents. And so that was really cool to see. And then the author, so the story was that the book that I reviewed, that was one of my favorite authors of all time. And she was one of the first books I've ever read. Like, she wrote children's books. And so that was one of the first books I've ever read. And then I remember, like they posted it, my Centennial posted it, I think that's why, and Centennial posted it, and then the author commented, she's like, I love this review, I'm saving it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was freaking out. Dope. Yeah, it was so cool. It was like a full circle moment for me. Yeah. Because like I was reading her books when I was, little, and then she like responded to me, so that was crazy. I was nerding out at that moment. But yeah, I feel like just connections, like you have basketball connections, but you also have, your passions. And so like, writing is a way I connect to people, and through fashion, like, I have that little community online where I'd be talking about like my fashion. And also one of my mom's coworkers, she works at Anthropology, which is like, they have really nice clothes. She's like, hey, if you want a discount, I was like, girl, yes, please. But yeah, I just love to connect through people in a different way. Yeah, and I think that's a part of
building those relationships, because you never know where it's going to take you down the line. A lot of people in the basketball community, of course, we're more than just athletes. So those people are in those same industries that you are, and then you build connection and relationships with them, and it kind of takes you to a place that you never thought that you'd be.
Yeah.
So it's really important to dive deep into those passions. So you're a senior this year, and you're headed to the University of San Diego.
Yes.
And you've already went through a coaching change.
Yes.
So in my experience, I went through a coaching change my junior year of college. So I already had a little bit of experience, just going through the process of being in college.
Yep.
So how was that for you, kind of before you're even getting there? You're not having, you won't be going in with the coaches that recruited you. So how's that process been for you?
It's been good overall. I'm really grateful, that they got a great coach from assistant. She was assistant at Georgia Tech. So she's really great. And I think, it's hard because you have a relationship, you build a relationship for a couple years with the coaches, and you commit, to them, to the program, but also to them. But, I'm very lucky to have, a great coach coming in, great assistant coaches. They kept Coach Y. I love her. We have a great relationship. And so I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, it has been different. But, change is, a constant. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I would say, even from my experience, you always have to find the positive in the changes.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that it's negative. Obviously, you didn't expect it. But now, I'll say from my experience, now I have 2 different coaching staffs that I can reach back to if I ever need anything,
Yes.
And, you use them for all different things. They have their own experiences. So the fact that you have now, 8 to 15 people to where if you need anything, you can call on them. And then those end up being the relationships that you hold close to you as, you move on beyond basketball.
Yes.
So talk about, your mindset going into college and what you're expecting or what you're excited about.
I'm super excited. I feel like this is a different, environment for me, and I'm excited to be playing, at a school. That's very cool. And, it's my dream school to go to. So I was really, grateful that opportunity came.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be different. It'll be a different experience, but I'm so excited. My community is already reaching out, coming to San Diego. Not the worst place to be.
It's beautiful.
Yes, I'm so excited. But yeah, I'm excited to, build new relationships and, have a community there as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I always love asking this next question. What does winning look like to you? Because, everyone's answer is different. Some people have experienced just winning basketball games all the time, and they just think, if you don't win, then
it's normal.
Yeah. And so some people don't have that experience of winning all the time, but they may have, a routine every day that they feel successful. And if they wake up every day and they make sure they eat their breakfast or make their bed up or do whatever, they had on their list to do, then they feel like that's a win. So what does basketball look like to you, or what a part of your process looks like winning to you?
Winning to me, I feel like is more about on the inside. I know that's like a cliche, but if I'm happy with who I am and I'm happy with how I'm doing things and I have integrity, that's a win to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't of course I love winning. I'm a Bulldog, but
right.
But at the end of the day, if I'm happy of how I carried myself through something, and I'm happy, with I knew I put all my effort into something, then that's a win to me.
Yeah. And it goes back to what I said earlier about when you are consistently putting in the effort in the work, usually the results end in winning.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't, and those just end up being the lessons that you learn.
Definitely.
But yeah, I love that. And what has basketball taught you so far?
Oh, that's a loaded question. A lot. I feel like basketball, has taught me, life is about ups and downs. There's runs, and I think, also not dwelling on my mistakes. I think that's a big thing, because in life, that can come up too.
Yeah.
And you gotta go to the next step. And also, focusing on, maybe you only see the first step ahead of you, in injuries, in new things, when you have new coaches, you only have the first step. And I'm someone who wants to see, the whole picture, but you're not supposed to see the whole picture. That's not how it's supposed to be yet. So I think just taking that first step and, trusting yourself and walking through faith, that's really important.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to play a game.
Okay.
It's called Player, Coach, Fan, just like rapid fire.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 3 people, and you're going to tell me who would you like to be your teammate, who would be your coach, and then who would be your fan in the stands cheering you on.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Serena Williams, Beyonce, and Sue Bird.
As my teammate?
which one would be your teammate? Which one would be your coach? And then your fan in the stands.
Teammate? Ooh. Well, I play basketball. So,
Okay.
so I probably want Sue Bird. And then teammate play.
You got Serena and then Beyonce.
My fan is going to be Beyonce. Like, come on. If Beyonce's your fan, you're doing something right. And then what was the last one?
Serena Williams.
Okay. And that
would be your teammate?
Yeah. Well,
no,
you
coach. You
That's my coach.
Yeah, Serena.
I feel like Serena as your coach, like,
she'd be tough.
She'll be tough on you, but like we have the same last name, so I feel like we got that bond.
Okay.
You know, that's like my auntie. So yeah.
Okay. Diana Taurasi, Zendaya, Kobe.
What? Oh my gosh, Kobe's got to be my teammate. Like, come on, that's crazy. Okay, and then my coach that's got to be Diana. Fun fact: my brother Taurasi's named after Diana Taurasi.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then my fan Zendaya, like, come on, bro. Yeah.
Okay. Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
Glorilla, or Skylar Diggins Smith.
Yeah, Glow. Ooh. Kayla Clark's my teammate.
Okay.
Glorilla is my fan.
Yeah, she's in the stands.
She'd be in the stands cheering
Glo-
for me. She'd be my number one. And then my coach, Skylar Diggins Smith.
Okay. Wonder Woman. Nation Williams. Sabrina Ionescu.
Nation's gonna love this lineup. Nation, obviously my teammate. That's my day one. My coach, Sabrina. You know, I'm shooting a lot of threes. Okay. Yeah. And then my fan, Wonder Woman.
Okay, and then last one, your mom.
Okay.
Angel Reese.
Okay.
Steph Curry.
My mom has already coached me, so I'm going to say she can be my teammate. Okay. Because playing with my mom, that would be crazy. No one get any rebounds.
Just moving everybody out of the way.
Steph is my coach.
Okay.
And then who's the last one?
Angel Reese.
Oh, Angel Reese. She can be my fan.
Okay. Yeah. Steph is like great basketball mind. I love you.
Yes. He's super smart.
Yeah.
You see how he talks.
All right. Well, thanks for having set that by birds. Thanks for being here with us today. And remember, guys, master your mindset, master life, and master the game.